What's up, people? So, what an exciting week. There are two lectures this week. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? So, I think so. Um, this one, what I really realized yesterday was that I kind of wanted to go over two essays that have already been submitted for paper two, and I wanted to do a live edit of those. Um, and So that way, I think it's probably a little more relevant than to yesterday's lecture, which was just about essay one. The things I went over for essay one, those mistakes should be applied to essay two, in hopes that those same mistakes aren't made twice. Okay, but um, I wanted to go over specifically essay two drafts, just two of them. In order to just help you all in this process. Okay, I want to, I do like the idea of giving you more than you actually need, and to do well on this. Okay, so I want to share my screen. This is the work of a person who has already submitted their essay, and this person can unsubmit or no, just this person can edit their paper after this and resubmit their paper, um, in order to not lose points off of their paper. Okay, because I noticed some things right away that were some errors that they would lose points on. Okay, so here we go. So first off, this heading right away is off. This could have been because of the uploading process. I'm still going to give y'all an error-free, excuse you, an error or two because of the uploading process. But let's just assume that this was not the program's fault. This was the writer's fault. Allison would need to move this over to here. Okay. Oops, nope, a little too much. Right there. Okay. This tab looks too much. There you go. Okay. Also, this is should be here. This is English 1102 because there's a lot of different 1102s. So we can make sure this is, oops. Oops. Okay. So then I noticed that were seemed like there were some extra spaces between paragraphs. Didn't look like here. This space is fine. See? That's fine. But then, like here, though, between these two paragraphs, there's a bigger space. Here, there's a larger space. So I imagine that if I do select all, look at the formatting, that that there will be inconsistencies. And sure enough, there are. Look, see, these are blank. That means that the whole document is not consistent. All right, so we need to put 0 here. We need to put double here. All right, so I'll shift some, but now look, that additional spaces are gone. Okay. All right, great. Okay, we have last name. That's good. That's good. While it's not required to have your formatting in Justify, I personally like it. I just do. So like, look, this is a left alignment. You can tell because here is straight down, but here this is all jaggedy. So when you click on left align, it balances it out. Okay. Now, so Legally Blonde, yes, it should be in italics. That's perfect. That's great. Legally Blonde is an eye-opening movie that enlightens girls and shows them that they can do and reach anything they want, even if men get in their way. Yeah, bastards. Great, 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 great. Okay. So let's just go down to, in this article, feminist literary criticism. All right, so here's an error. See this? It's an error. This comma needs to be inside the quotation mark. That would have been I think I did 3.5 points off. That would have been 3.5 points off right there. It states feminist critical theory examines the oppression of women in literature, how the literature reinforces or undermines economic, political, social, psychological oppression of women. All right, so there's a quote within a quote, which is where we have this singular, singular. But now, though, the entire quote is finished. You see, the entire quote's finished. So while we have a singular quote here at the end of this internalized quote, we still got to have the double citations in order to close out the whole quote. So we would need that. Okay. We need that and this. Now, this one, green, is closed out with this one. So when you have a quote within a quote, and that quote within the quote comes towards the end of the quote, you actually have three apostrophes. Do you see that? All right. So like that would have been an error right there. Tyson argues that society is so immersed in patriarchy that we're programmed not to see how women are oppressed by traditional gender roles. Okay. So wait a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I see here. So this is okay. All right. This is a quote. Okay, I guess I'm all wrong here. Let's go down here to the works cited page. Wilcox. Okay. Okay. All right. So apparently here, I'm wrong. Okay. The quote is actually doesn't end there. It ends here. This is all one big giant quote. Okay. Um, so we don't need that. So this Tyson 83 here is quoting this internalized quote. But what this person, Amanda, is quoting is actually Wilcox. All right. So this is very confusing. So there's a couple of things wrong with this. Okay, for one, it's a it's a four-line quote, right? If you were to use a four-line quote, which is too long really for this paper, okay, you would do what's called it's here we go. You would have to do it like this. All right, it's called a block quote. Um, and I would edit some of this stuff out in order to not make it so confusing. Okay. Um, all right. And then also I would split this up into two different quotes. All right. Um, and sorry, Tyson, I would just cut Tyson out of this. All right. You're quoting Wilcox. So I would do something like this. In the article, Feminist Literary Criticism, um, in criticism, all right, instead of it states, I would say something like Wilcox. Who is this Wilcox person? Brett Wilcox. Brett Wilcox explains how feminist critical theory examines the oppression of women in literature. Um, in literature. And he goes on to quote another researcher he goes on to quote another researcher by when explaining how the theory reinforces or undermines the economic, political, social, psychological oppression of women. Of women. Dot, dot, dot. I cut that out. I'm gonna do a bracket because bracket. Society is so immersed in patriarchy that we were programmed not to that we are not to see how women are oppressed by traditional gender roles. I would cut that part out. Okay. Wilcox. But we don't need Wilcox because we've already mentioned his name. All right. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So, and then here, oops. Okay. In the article, Feminist Lyricism, Britt Wilcox explains how feminist critical theory examines the oppression of women in literature. And he goes on to quote another researcher when explaining how the theory, quote, reinforces or undermines economic, political, social, and psychological oppression of women because society is so immersed in patriarchy that we're programmed not to see who you're oppressed. Okay. The quotation captures the ethos. Okay. Instead, here we say something like, Wilcox's Wilcox's research captures the ethos of feminist lyrics. All right. That's better and less confusing. Good. All right. So yeah, you want to, when you're using a quote, you want to write it in a way that reduces confusion. Okay. And when you have too many, when you have citations within a quote, it kind of throws things off. Okay. And as a writer, your initial responsibility is to make sure that you are paying respect to your source. Now, it's your source's job when people are reading that source specifically to then make sure that they reference their sources. Okay. But like you don't need to reference your sources. All right. You're just referencing your source. And then if people go and read your source, then they will then get the information on their sources. Okay. So, but when we have, it's kind of like you have too many cooks in the kitchen. It's confusing. If you have too many sources in one chunk, it's confusing as well. Okay. All right. Okay. So you don't need to capitalize psychoanalytic. So all right, there we go. Criticism, there we go. It's capitalized here because it's the beginning of it's a title. All right. In the article, psychoanalytic criticism states psychoanalytic criticism adopts the methods of reading employed by Freud and other Okay. Again, like, look, this quote is too long. That's too long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's way too long. That needs to be chopped up. All right, it needs to be chopped up. Okay. You can't write that long of a quote. And I demonstrated of how to kind of chop up quotes in um one of my lectures from a couple of weeks ago. I demonstrated how you turn a long quote into part of this can be summarized into your own words, and then the other part can be quoted, but you cannot have a quote longer. You shouldn't have a quote longer than one line, honestly. Okay. You need to cut it up, chop it up, make it into little phrases. Okay. That right there would be an error. Okay. Okay, let's look at works cited page. Michael Wilcox. Okay. This medium right here, this is a title of website. Seems to be in italics. Okay. So one, two, um, this would end up being a third error because it was way too long. Okay. And then this was right here, four. So like four errors. So we're looking at somewhere around a B. Okay. So you would want to get those things fixed up in order to before you submit this paper. All right. Quotes cannot be that long. All right. Okay, so that's one of those examples I wanted to go over. Let's see, is this another one? Andrew Moore's. Let me check the formatting. All right, 00 double, cool. Again, I prefer justify personally. Okay. Sigmund Freud is credited with being the founder of psychoanalysis, which is a theory that seeks to explore the unconscious mind to uncover repressed feelings and interpret deep-rooted emotional patterns. McLeod, okay, good. It's good quote. It's integrated well. As I discussed yesterday, okay, if you delete the quote and and it creates an incomplete sentence, and that means it's integrated correctly. Sigmund Freud is credited with being the founder of psychoanalysis, which is the theory that clearly there's something missing. Okay, so that's integrated correctly. Jason Todd. Oh, this Joker. Okay. Petzo claims that the family was morally upstanding. It would have dehumanized portrayal, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Author's name. All right. Quote integrated. Cool. All right. I haven't seen this movie, Under the Red Hood. All right. More. So like your works cited page needs to be moved up. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, look. This previous one, she didn't cite her movie. I was like, I know that Elle Woods. This one, she needs to do another error is the film. Film needs to be cited, and I showed y'all that in my announcements. Let's see, where is let's see. Let's see. Um, in my announcements, I posted how to cite your source, how to do the citation for here you go, like this. Title of movie, director's first name, last name, performances, I did an example for Fight Club right there. Okay. And so here we have Batman Under the Red Hood, directed by Brandon VD, performances by, and then we have the characters. Okay. And so yeah, okay. So that's good. That's good. Katsuko. All right, here's some errors. This does not go here. That is incorrect. If that's when it was written, then that needs the okay, also look, this is a article within the Atlantic. The article is not in italics. The article is in quotation marks. The Atlantic is in italics because the Atlantic is the title of our publications. Okay, and then what comes after it is the date in which it was the issue that it was published in. Okay, and really we don't even need the exact date, but whatever. Okay, so like same here, this is incorrect. That's wrong. This is the article name, so it should not be in italics. It should be in quotation marks. And what it was published on, this is the name of the publisher. That should be italics. And then after the italics, comma, you should have when it was published, 24 January. Oops. January 2024. It's just doing that because it's justified, which is fine. It's the justified setting. If this was just a line left, it would look like that. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So like these need to go away and move down here. These titles need to be quotation marks, and these need to be in italics. Okay. So that's the main thing that he needs to do. Alrighty. I hope that this helped some of y'all understanding about like, how to work with your quotes. Don't have long quotes, integrate your quotes better, break them up, summarize some of them, and then make sure that your works cited page is set up correctly. Okay. Alrighty. I hope this was helpful. Send me any questions you might have. Okay. Alrighty. Bye-bye.